Hey Violins, this is a rundown of Chins and Pins by Richard Meyer for the Violin one part. Really fun piece, and I'm just going to go ahead and give you some tips on what you could do in your own practice to get started with it. Definitely warm up on a D major scale, and you can even do alternating plucking to arco. The reason being, and I'll demonstrate really quick, I mean like you'll pluck for a beat, D, rest, D, rest. That kind of thing. You can alternate back and forth. The reason being, when students learn this piece, the majority of the time, a lot of students will actually have trouble with these quick transition spots, measure 8 and measure 9, 16 and 17. Moving on down, 28 and 29, 32 and 33. These spots just offer 1 quarter rest or 2 quarter rests to jump back and forth between arco and pits or pits and arco. So definitely be very agile in your movement between those two. And a D major scale alternating is a great way to start. Also pay attention to the dynamic contrast that's happening in it, because when you're playing a forte, somebody else is probably playing piano. The reason being, you have melody, and when you have piano, somebody else has the melody. But the title, Chins and Pins, if you haven't figured it out already, it's really a dialogue throughout the entire piece between upper strings, chins, and lower strings, who have end pins. So as you're learning this piece, definitely listen to the recording as well. That way you can hear that conversation happen back and forth. As you practice with a metronome, the last spot I'm going to really emphasize for you to really be secure on is 36 all the way to 47 or 48. And the reason being there is because the dialogue is not separated by bar lines, it's actually overlaps by a quarter note. For instance, in the beginning, measure 5 through measure 8 is all upper strings, and then 9 through 12 is all lower strings. And there's a really clean break in how that dialogue transfers from one side of the orchestra to the next, so it's really, it's noticeable and it's really easy to catch on to. At 36, however, it starts to overlap by a beat, and this makes more sense as you listen to the recording, but it's going to be very important that you're secure metronomically on this passage, and also that you are counting all the way through, no problem. So the last thing I was going to point out is the roadmap for this piece. Super important. Measure 1 all the way to 52, and then we have a DSL fine, so we're going to jump back to measure 5 to that fancy looking S, that's our sign, and we're going to play all the way through measure 36, which is the fine. That is the actual order of the piece. And I have my metronome set at 110 beats per minute. It's a really nice allegretto tempo, and that's roughly where the publisher recording takes it. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I have it set on a 3 pattern with the big click being on beat 1. Really helps me remember where beat 1 is when I'm in 3. So 1, 2, 3. that's more or less how it goes. You'll notice when I was playing it, I definitely missed my landing at 33 on that D. It was out of tune, and that was an ouch moment. But I wanted you to understand how the whole piece works. So I know for myself, like I mentioned, 32 and 33 is a great spot to actually practice on your own, to practice that transfer from pizzicato to arco. And for me, it's something that I need to even practice because I really missed that first note, which kind of really offset some of the other notes when I was playing. But that's for me to practice, and that's for you to actually go, I'm going to learn from that and not do that. Anyway, I hope it was helpful for you, and as always, happy practicing and good luck.